getting myself into a bit of a pickle regarding the Sonny Perkins situation, which sounds a little bit like a scene from Pulp Fiction, really, doesn't it? But it's not. It's nowhere near as gory and gruesome as that. In fact, there's actually some good news at the end of this video, as hopefully you've seen from the title. I think I sort of tend to lump it in and bundle it all together and put it in one package with the Manny Longello stuff and the Elise situation. No, many situations. So I was pleased that there's some good news and something's been clarified here. If you're not aware of the story, then where have you been? What have you been doing? We ran a couple of stories last week because there was a lot of news, there was a lot of articles, a lot of rumours suggesting that Sonny Perkins was on his way to either Aston Villa or Leeds, because apparently it was been reported that he only had a month left on his contract. Mass panic stations, mass hysteria, and actually it turns out he's got a year and a month, which some know as 13 months actually, left on his contract. So we didn't have to worry at all. Now, you may remember that last week I mentioned that I had actually written to the club and said, it wasn't like a carrier pigeon, or actually it might have been a carrier pigeon or a raven or something like that, because it's taken so long for the reply to come back. It still hasn't come back. But I asked for clarity, said, is this the case? Anyway, the clarity has come back, not to me, albeit, but there you go. And the club have confirmed there's 13 months left on his contract. Now, I do think the club could have put this to bed a lot earlier than they needed to, but what's this mean? Well, it means the urgency is not there. Now, if you remember from my video, I was quite annoyed with the club, that the club have allowed a player to get down to the last month of his contract, and I was also quite annoyed David Moyes for not giving enough incentive to young players to stick around. I said there were two reasons Perkins might be interested in going to Leeds or going to Aston Villa, and that was basically either A, they weren't giving him enough money, club weren't giving enough money, or David Moyes had not made it attractive enough for him to hang around. I was thinking, why are Leeds able to offer him first team football? Why are Leeds able to offer him more money? Well, it turns out that that's not been the case, although, as I understand it, there is interest from both those clubs. What I think, probably reading between the lines now, is it's over to Moyes. It's right, Moyes, it's over to you. You basically got a year to try and incorporate this guy into the fabric of the squad, the framework of the team, and allow him to feel that there's some avenue of opportunity at West Ham. That West Ham is a club where he can progress, because, look, he represents England under-18s. Actually, when I started giving his stats earlier on, his stats were just for the under-23s. I didn't realise he represented the under-23s and the under-18s at West Ham. So basically, last season he got fast-tracked from the under-18s to the under-23s. He's hot. I say he's hot property. Look, he's an England international, and there's a few clubs that are after him. He's one of the better youngsters on our books. So it is really over to David Moyes now, and in terms of the wages, well, the wages I'm less concerned about at the moment. We've seen this situation before, though, and it's something we need to address. This isn't always plain sailing. We apparently, do you remember the Ngakia story whereby we'd given him three offers of contracts and he turned them all down. By the time we'd offered the last one, he'd gone from basically being somebody who hadn't been used, never played a first team game before, to being somebody that David Moyes was wanting to use. There was almost nowhere in between. We've also got the problem on the horizon of Ben Johnson's contract. Surely that's got to be sorted, and that can be sorted. He's been at the club since he was 7. The Perkins one, I'm not going to compare any of this to Declan Rice, a totally different situation. But the Perkins one is close to the Ngakia situation. What we don't want to do is find ourselves in a situation like we were with Ngakia, where Perkins maybe starts getting a few games under his belt, and then it's almost too late. So primarily it's over to David Moyes to reassure him, to use him, to put him in the team, to show him that there is a pathway to first team football at West Ham. And it doesn't mean play him and start him in every game. Far from it. I mentioned in the previous video, there's a way to appease him. There's a way to say, look, I'll put you on the bench as much as I can. We've got 5 subs next season. In the Europa Conference games, I'll bring you off the bench. I'll try and start you in the odd game here or there. But basically, you'll be a substitute I'll use this season. I think if you do that, you incorporate him, you give him enough playing incentive, and then it's then over to the board to then offer him a deal. And to be fair, whilst I did blame the boards alongside David Moyes the other day, Not so much now, because as I understand it, for the youth players, once you go and sign a full-time deal from scholarship, which is what Perkins would have been on, the maximum, the ceiling's £2,000. So I'm guessing Perkins was on about £2,000. And let's be fair, it's not like he'd broken into the first team, so I guess why would his contract be any more than that? If Moyes is going to use him, and Moyes needs to tell the club, he needs to certainly instruct the people at the club, Rob Newman or whatever, this is somebody that's part of my plans, part of the future, tie him down on a contract. Now, this is where it comes into play. Now, what I think a lot of the Aston Villa and the Leeds leaks now, looking at it, would not be surprised if it's the lad's agent. I really wouldn't. They're putting it out there that their client has other interested parties in their client, so West Ham better pay them. The one thing that did come from the club was that his agents were asking for silly money. Now, I don't know what silly money is. I mean, we're just going to be speculating here, pure speculation. But I'm pretty sure he'll be on about £2,000 a week, Perkins, because that does tend to be what they're on. Is he suddenly asking for £25,000 a week or something? I don't know. I don't think we're talking hundreds of thousands a week or anything like that. But I can understand why he wouldn't have that contract yet, because he's not played any first-team games. So there's got to be a compromise, and this is something I'm not entirely sure we're very good at. I think we're quite slow on contracts as well. It took a long time to do Antonio's. You remember when Rice eventually did do his contract, that took a long time, didn't it? Do you remember? A lot of it was very public as well. Johnson seems to be taking a long time. Even something as simple as Fabianski took a long time, didn't it? So this is something we've got to try and get a little bit slicker on, certainly, because we don't want these players walking away, particularly if he's a talented player, particularly if he's wanted by other clubs. That being said, when I did look at it, I thought, well, Aston Villa going to offer him any more first-team football than we are? I mean, they've got Watkins there, they've got Danny Ings, and they don't have European football, so what's Steven Gerrard going to do? Start playing Sonny Perkins? I wouldn't think that would be the case. So the more I thought about it, maybe it is just the agent stirring the pot, try and get a little bit more money for their client. I don't mind that, to be fair. That's the agent's job. I just hope that we do reach a compromise on this. I do think that, remember I talked about messaging the other day? This is good messaging from the board now to say, no, we're keeping him. He's going nowhere. Well, great, but come on, give us that news 2 weeks ago. When I sent a carrier pigeon a couple of weeks ago, nothing came back quickly. You just could have made us a little less nervous. Let's be perfectly fair about it. It is good news, though. We've got to get a lot of things sorted now. The compromise is there. Let's get him tied down. We don't have to throw silly... When I say compromise, I don't want us to throw silly money at him. I don't. But now the pressure's a little bit off. The pressure's more on Moyes, and it's actually on the player and his representatives, because what you don't want to do is them to price him out of a deal. I would look back on Ngakia now, and I would look at Ngakia's career, and I would say, well, I'm not sure how successful that's been. Maybe, just maybe, Ngakia was better off staying at West Ham, signing that deal, because I wouldn't be surprised if it was Jeremy Ngakia who was in Ben Johnson's situation now. I really do. Moyes liked him. He would have played him. He would have got games at right back. And I think he would have been a little bit further along in his career than he was for Watford. What he didn't do, he didn't make the footballing choice. I felt he made the money choice then. This is important that Perkins doesn't do the same thing. But for there to be a football choice, Moyes has to give him one. So come on. So for next season, I don't know why I hit my own hand there. For next season, let's see a few more of the youngsters involved. Let's get them incorporated into the team. Good news, Perkins is staying. We've got a year to sort it out, but I don't want to wait a year. Let's have him involved in pre-season. Let's get him training with the first team all the time. And you know what? It's not just have him on the bench, but have him on the bench and actually let's all make it feel that us as fans feel that there's a chance that he would come off the bench. And I think Yarmolenko was a bit of a block there in coming off. We want to feel that he's able and Moyes wants to use him. But most importantly, it's really, really vital that the player himself, Perkins, feels that there is a chance that he will come off the bench and he can feature. If he does that and Moyes uses him, then it's over to him. Score a goal and the world's his oyster.